Ozzy Walls was the only chapter two. Ozzy Walls was the only black sheriff in Mississippi. There had been a few others in recent history, but for the moment, he was the only one. He took great pride in that fact, since Fort County was 74% white, and the other black sheriffs had been from much blacker counties. Not since Reconstruction had a black sheriff been elected in a white county in Mississippi. He was raised in Fort County, and he was kin to most of the blacks in their feud with the whites. After desegregation in the late 60s, he was a member of the first mixed graduating class at Clanton High School. He wanted to play football nearby at Ole Miss, but there were already two blacks on the team. He starred instead at Alcorn State and was a defensive tackle for the Rams when a knee injury sent him back to Blanston. He missed football, but enjoyed being the high sheriff, especially at election time when he received more white votes than his white opponents. The white kids loved him because he was a hero, a football star who had played on TV and had his picture in magazines. Their parents respected him and voted for him because he was a tough cop who did not discriminate between black punks and white punks. The white politicians supported him because because since he became the sheriff, the Justice Department stayed out of Fort County. The blacks adored him because he was Ozzy, one of their own. He skipped supper and waited in his office at the jail for Hastings to report from the Haywood house. He had a suspect. Billy Ray Cobb was no stranger to the sheriff's office. Ozzy knew he sold drugs. He just couldn't catch him. He also knew Cobb had a mean streak. The dispatcher called in the deputies, and as they reported to the jail, Ozzy gave them instructions to locate, but not arrest. Billy Ray Cobb. There were 12 deputies in all, 9 white, 3 black. They fanned out across the county in search of a fancy yellow Ford pickup with a rebel flag in the rear window. When Hastings arrived, he and the sheriff left for the Ford County Hospital. As usual, Hastings drove, and Ozzy gave orders on the radio. In the waiting room on the second floor, they found the Haywood clan, aunts, uncles, grandparents, friends, and strangers crowded into the small room, and some waited in the narrow hallway. There were whispers and quiet tears. Tanya was in surgery. Carly sat on a cheap plastic couch in a dark corner, with Gwen next to him and the boys next to her. He stared at the floor and did not notice the crowd. Gwen laid her head on his shoulder and cried softly. The boys sat rigidly, with their hands on knees, occasionally glancing at their father, as if waiting on words of reassurance. Ozzy worked his way through the crowd, quietly shaking hands and patting backs and whispering that he would catch them. He knelt before Carly and Gwen. "How is she?" he asked. Carly did not see him. Gwen cried louder, and the boy sniffed and wiped tears. He patted Gwen on the knee and stood. One of her brothers led Ozzy and Hastings out of the room into the hall, away from the family. He shook Ozzy's hand and thanked him for coming. "How is she?" Ozzy asked. "Not too good. She's in surgery and most likely will be there for a while. She's got broken bones and a bad concussion. She's beat up real bad. There's rope burns on her neck, like they tried to hang her." "Was she raped?" he asked, certain of the answer. "Yeah." She told her mama they took turns on her and hurt her real bad. Doctors confirmed it. "How's Carly and Gwen?" "They're tore up. Pretty bad. I think they're in shock." Carly ain't said a word since he got here. Ozzy assured him they would find the two men, and it wouldn't take long. And when they found them, they would be locked up someplace safe. The brother suggested he should hide them in another jail for their own safety. 3 miles out of Clanton, Ozzy pointed to a gravel driveway. "Pull in there," he told Hastings, who turned off the highway and drove into the front yard of a dilapidated house trailer. It was almost dark. Ozzy took his nightstick and banged violently on the front door. "Open up, Bumpus." The trailer shook, and Bumpus scrambled to the bathroom to flush a fresh joint. "Open up, Bumpus," Ozzy banged. "I know you're in there. Open up or I'll kick in the door." Bumpus yanked the door open and Ozzy walked in. "You know, Bumpus, every time I visit you, I smell something funny, and the commod's flushy. Get some clothes on. I got a job for you." "What?" "I'll explain it outside, where I can breathe. Just get some clothes on and hurry." "What if I don't want to?" "Fine. I'll see your parole after tomorrow. I'll be out in a minute." Ozzy smiled and walked to his car. Bobby Bumpus was one of his favorites. Since his parole 2 years earlier, he had led a reasonably clean life, occasionally succumbing to the lure of an easy drug sale for a quick buck. Ozzy watched him like a hawk and knew of such transactions, and Bumpus knew Ozzy knew. Therefore, Bumpus was usually most eager to help his friend, Sheriff Walls. The plan was to eventually use Bumpus to nail Billy Ray Cobb for the demon, but that would be postponed for now. After a few minutes, he marched outside, still tucking his shirt tail and zipping his pants. "Who are you looking for?" he demanded. "Billy Ray Cobb." "That's no problem. You can find him without..." "Hmm? Shut up. Shut up and listen. We think Cobb was involved in a rape this afternoon. The Garfield is outside too right now, and I think Cobb was there." "Cobb ain't into rape, Sheriff. He's into drugs, remember? Shut up and listen. You find Cobb and spend some time with him. 5 minutes ago, his truck was spotted at Hughes. Buy him a beer, shoot some pool, roll dice, whatever. Find out what he did today. Who was with him? Where'd he go? You know how he likes to talk, right? Right. Call the dispatcher when you find him. They'll call me. I'll be somewhere close. You understand?" "Sure, Sheriff. No problem. Any questions?" "Yeah, I'm broke. Who's gonna pay for this? Harvey handed him a 20 and left. Hastings drove in the direction of Huey's down Bobbin Lake. You sure you can trust him? Hastings asked. Who? That Bumpus kid. Sure I trust him. He's proved very reliable since he was paroled. He's a good kid trying to go straight, for the most part. He supports his local sheriff and will do anything I ask. Why? Because I caught him with 10 ounces of pot a year ago. He's been out of jail about a year when I caught his brother with an ounce, and I told him he was looking at 30 years. He started crying and carrying on. Cried all night in his cell. By morning, he was ready to stop. Told me his supplier was his brother, Bobby. So I let him go. I went to see Bobby. I knocked on his door, and I could hear the commode flushing. He wouldn't come to the door, so I kicked it in. I found him in his underwear, in the bathroom, trying to unstop the commode. There was dope all over the place. Don't know how much he flushed, but most of it was coming back out in the overflow. Scared him so bad he wet his drawers. You kidding? Nope. The kid pissed all over himself. He was a sight standing there with wet drawers, a plunger in one hand, dope in the other, and the room filling up with commode water. What'd you do? Threatened to kill him? What'd he do? Started crying. Cried like a baby. Cried about his mama and prison and all this and that. Promised he'd never screw up again. You arrest him? Nah, I just couldn't. I talked real ugly to him and threatened him some more. I put him on a probation right there in, right there in his bathroom. He's been fun to work with ever since. They drove by Huey's and saw Cobb's truck in the gravel parking lot with a dozen other pickups and four-wheel drives. They parked behind a black church on a hill up the highway from Hughes, where they had a good view of the honky tonk, or tonk, as it was affectionately called by the patrons. Another patrol car hid behind some trees at the end of the highway. Moments later, Buckus flew by and wheeled into the parking lot. He locked his brakes, spraying gravel dust, then backed next to Cobb's truck. He looked around and casually entered Huey's. 30 minutes later, the dispatcher advised Ozzy that the informant had found the subject, a male white, at Huey's, an establishment on Highway of 305 near the lake. Within minutes, two more patrol cars were hidden close by. They waited. What makes you so sure it's Cobb? Hastings asked. I ain't sure. I just got a bunch. I just got a hunch. The little girl said it was a truck with shiny wheels and big tires. That narrows it down to 2,000. She also said it was yellow, looked new, and had a big flag hanging in the rear window. That brings it down to 200. Maybe less than that. How many of those are as mean as Billy Ray Cobb? What if it ain't him? It is. If it ain't, we'll know shortly. He's got a big mouth, specifically when he's drinking. For 2 hours they waited and watched pickups come and go. Truck drivers, pulpwood cutters, factory workers, and farmhands parked pickups and jeeps in the gravel and strutted inside to drink, chew pool, listen to the band, but mainly to look for stray women. Some would leave and walk next door to Anne's Lounge, where they would stay for a few minutes and return to Huey's. Anne's Lounge was darker, both inside and out, and it lacked the colorful beer signs and live music that made Huey such a hit with the locals. Anne's was known for its drug traffic, whereas Huey's had it all: music, women, happy hour, poker machines, dice, dancing, and plenty of fights. One brawl spilled through the door into the parking lot, where a group of wild rednecks kicked and clawed each other at random until they grew winded and returned to the dice table. Hope that wasn't Buffett, observed the sheriff. The restrooms inside were small and nasty, and most of the patrons found it necessary to relieve themselves between the pickups and the parking lot. This was especially true on Mondays, when 10-cent beer night drew rednecks from 4 counties. And every truck in the parking lot received at least 3 sprays. About once a week, an innocent passing motorist would get shocked by something he or she saw in the parking lot, and Ozzy would be forced to make an arrest. Otherwise, let the places alone. Both tongs were in violation of numerous laws. There was gambling, drugs, illegal whiskey, minors, they refused to close on time, etc. Shortly after he was elected the first time, Ozzy made a mistake, due in part to a hasty campaign promise of closing all the honky tonks in the county. It was a horrible mistake. The crime rate soared, the jail was packed, the court dockets multiplied. The rednecks united and drove in caravans to Clinton, where they parked around the courthouse on the square. Hundreds of them. Every night they invaded the square, drinking, fighting, playing loud music, and shouting obscenities at the horrified townsfolk. Each morning, the square resembled a landfill with cans and bottles thrown everywhere. He closed he closed the Black Tonks too, and break-ins, burglaries, and stabbings tripled in 1 month. There were 2 murders in one week. Finally, with the city under siege, a group of local ministers met secretly with Ozzy and begged him to ease up on their tongues. He politely reminded them that during the campaign they had insisted on the closing. They admitted they were wrong and pleaded for relief. Yes, they would support him in the next election. Ozzy relented, and life returned to normal in Ford County. Ozzy was not pleased that the establishments thrived in his county, but he was convinced beyond any doubt that his law-abiding constituent a month into when the tongs were over. At 10:30, the dispatcher radioed that the informant was on the phone and wanted to see the sheriff. Ozzy gave his location, and a minute later, they watched Bumpus emerge and stagger to his truck. He spun tires, slung gravel, and raced toward the church. "He's drunk," said Hastings. He wheeled through the church parking lot and came to a screeching stop a few feet from the patrol car. "Howdy, Sheriff," he yelled. Ozzy walked to the pickup. "What took you so long? You told me to take all night. You found him 2 hours ago." "That's true, Sheriff. But have you ever tried to spend $20 on beer when it's 50 cents a can?" "You drunk?" "No, just having a good time. Could I have another 20? What'd you find out?" "About what?" "Carl." "Oh, he's in there all right." "I know he's in there. What else?" Bumpus quit smiling and looked at the taunt in the distance. "He's laughing about it, Sheriff. It's a big joke." Said he finally found a nigger who was emerging. Somebody asked how old she was, and Carl said 8 or 9. Everybody laughed. Hastings closed his eyes and dropped his head. Ozzy gritted his teeth and looked away. "What else did he say?" "He's bad drunk. He won't remember any of it in the morning." Said she was a cute little nigger. "Who was with him?" "Pete Willard." "Is he in there?" "Yep. They both were laughing about it." "Where are they?" "Left-hand side, next to the pinball machines." Ozzy smiled. "Okay, Bumpus, you did good. Get lost." Hastings called the dispatcher with the two names. The dispatcher relayed the message to Deputy Looney, who was parked in the street in front of the home of the county judge, Percy Boland. Looney rang the doorbell and handed the judge 2 affidavits and 2 arrest warrants. Bullard scribbled on the warrants and returned them to Looney, who thanked his honor and left. 20 minutes later, Looney handed the warrants to Ozzy behind the church. At exactly 11, the band quit in mid-song. The, the dice disappeared, the dancers froze, the cue balls stopped rolling, and someone turned on the lights. All eyes followed the big sheriff as he and his men swaggered slowly across the dance floor to a table by the pinball machine. Cobb Willard and 2 others sat in a booth, the table littered with empty beer cans. Ozzy walked to the table and grinned at Cobb. "I'm sorry, sir, but we don't allow niggers in here." Cobb blurted out, and the fourth burst into laughter. Ozzy kept grinning. When the laughing stopped, Ozzy said, "You boys having a good time, Billy Ray?" We was. Looks like it. I hate to break things up, but you and Mr. Willard need to come with me. Where we going? Willard asked. For a ride. I ain't moving, Carl bowed. With that, the other two scooted from the booth and joined the spectators. I'm placing you both under arrest, Ozzy said. You got warrants, Carl asked. Hastings produced the warrants, and Ozzy threw them among the beer cans. Yeah, we got one. Now get out. Willard stared desperately at Carl, who slipped in beer, and said, I ain't going to jail. Looney handed Ozzy the longest, blackest nightstick ever used in Fort County. Willard was panicking. Willard was panic-stricken. Ozzy cocked it and struck the center of the table, sending beer and cans and foam in all directions. Willard bolted upright, slapped his wrists together, and thrust them at Looney, who was waiting with the handcuffs. He was dragged outside and thrown into a patrol car. Ozzy tapped his left palm with the stick and grinned at Cobb. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say will be used against you in court. You have the right to a lawyer. If you can't afford one, just say the state will furnish one. Any questions? Yeah, what time is it? Time to go to jail, big man. Good to have me. Ozzy grabbed his hair and lifted him from the booth, then drove his face into the floor. He jammed a knee into his spine and slid his nightstick under his throat and pulled upward while while driving the knee while driving the knee deeper into his back. Cobb squealed until the stick began crushing his larynx. The handcuffs were slapped into place, and Ozzy dragged him by his hair across the dance floor, out the door, across the gravel, and they threw him into the back seat with Willard. News of the rape spread quickly. More friends and relatives crowded into the waiting room and the halls around it. Turner was out of surgery and listed as critical. Ozzy talked to one's brother in the hall and told of the arrest. Yes, they were the